Okay, we're here with All Sports Tucson Preview Show. I'm Andy Morales, my brother Heather Morales, and we have our guest today is Palo Verde head coach Mike Wells, longtime assistant coach under Jeff Skurin. You want to talk a little bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. As he said, I coached with Jeff Skurin for many years over at Catfoot. We went there together. I coached with him over at Santa Rita for 3 years prior to that, and I also played for him in high school. So well-rounded, long time with Mr. Skurin.
So tell me about your playing days with Skurin. Those were the big 5A? Were you guys 5A or 4A? Those were some big, good teams at that time.
Yeah, they were. We were 4A at the time, and my freshman year was first year they won state championship up there for him, and it was huge. It was a huge program then. And I remember as a freshman, I think about it to this day, and I look at some of our kids and the kids I've coached over the past years, and I swear that year, my freshman year, those varsity players looked like giants. And I don't know if anybody remembers, but there were kids out there, Jarrett Hansen and Manny Olagi, those guys, and they just seemed like giants to me at the time. And now I see the kids, and I'm coaching the same kids, but they just don't seem as big. Now I'm like, holy cow, I need those guys.
So after Skurin, and Skurin's in Germany right now, right? And Palo Verde opened up, so you decided to become a head coach. So take us through that thought process of wanting. Myself, I coached for 30 years, club and softball. And for me, I wanted to be the assistant because I wanted to sleep at night, but I still didn't sleep at night. So tell me the thought process of wanting to take over a program.
Yeah, well, last year Jeff had told us, he had let us know that he was going to retire and move forward, and then he was going to go over to Germany. And I thought there was no better time than then. I've wanted to be a head coach for a long time, but seriously, trying to get my ducks in a row to do so for maybe the last, 4 or 5 years, and just waiting for the right opportunity and the right time. I'm a loyal guy, and I wanted to finish the job over there at Foothills and stay there until he was done, and stay with him. And he brought me into the coaching community, started back at Santa Rita, like I said, in '07, and I wanted to stay as long as he would allow me to be. And and as far as being a head coach and time, it's a huge time commitment. The biggest thing I didn't know about was that you had to become a professional fundraiser as a head coach, and that was a little bit out of my wheelhouse, and I'm still learning a little bit, but I'm used to the time commitment. As defensive coordinator, that's one of the most difficult jobs on the staff, and it's the most time committed job on the staff other than the head coach. I spent all weekend breaking down film and spending time doing that stuff. So the time commitment has been somewhat different, but not hugely. I don't sleep much anyway. I'm up for work at 3 a.m. and in bed after film, probably usually around 11 or so, 11:30 at night after I get home, and spend a few minutes with the family. And so I don't need sleep, and the time I'm okay with. I like it. I'm up for the challenge,
Maybe we should have your wife up here, ask her about that schedule. But you know the landscape of Tucson high school football, being a player and coaching for so many years. So going into a program like Palo Verde, which has struggled, what were you thinking, and what kind of challenges do you face there that you wouldn't face at like Cali Foothills or Sabino?
Well, the thought process there was pretty easy. I mean, I back even when I was in junior high school at Fickett in the late '80s, Palo Verde was not so much a powerhouse at that time, but I remember some of my friends' brothers, the Snows, Kenny and Brian Snow back then, and Kirk Younger, and they were killing it at Palo Verde in high school at that time. And so I'd walk home from Fickett on Friday nights, and I wouldn't go home. I'd walk to Palo Verde, and I'd sit in the stands. I couldn't afford to get in the game, so I sat there, and I watched all those home games, and I watched all those guys, all the Snows, all those guys, and it was great. So I knew there was a tradition, let alone when we were at Santa Rita, we had huge games against Coach Mayfield and Adam Hall and that group of guys. And I mean, the atmosphere there at that time was amazing. Like it, you know, some of the best playoff atmospheres I've been involved with, some of that was there, you know, and just the rivalry between Santa Rita and Palo Verde at the time, and the huge games, and the turnout of the fans and the neighborhood and the community there was just amazing. I also know that, you know, I've said this all along, that Palo Verde was the last TUSD high school to win a state championship in 2005 under Coach Mayfield. So the tradition is there. The talent is certainly there, and we have a team full of that. The biggest challenge I think we're having right now is to continue to build that confidence with the student athletes, you know, and to continue to teach them our system. And I think we're getting better and better every week. You know, and right now that's a challenge, just to continue to get better and better and better every week. You know, the one thing that I haven't been so certain of is the time that we spent during spring ball, all the way up, you know, taking the summer off and coming back, you know, at the beginning of the year, just didn't seem like enough time. You know, I thought, holy cow, you know, that the game started, I'm like, wow, I don't feel we were prepared enough. And luckily, the kids have continued to buy in. They're working hard. They're working hard in the classroom. They're working hard on their character out of the classroom, and we just continue to get better.
So, are you more of like a defense coach, or are you the offense coach, or do you leave that to the assistants, or what are your responsibilities on the sidelines?
Well, I'm the offensive coordinator. I've been studying offense for a long time. I was the defensive coordinator at Foothills for most of the time we were there, and I've always wanted to call the offense. When I coached JV and freshmen, when I was at Santa Rita the first year, I was the offensive coordinator then, and I knew under Jeff that was never going to happen, you know. And I also wanted to just be the best, most well-rounded, knowledgeable coach I could be. So I chose the defensive side while studying offense and learning offense under Jeff, and also learning from studying all these great teams that we played every year. You know, we played a bunch of great teams in the playoffs at Foothills every year. You know, from Scottsdale Saguaro, who we know is a powerhouse, you know, to Higley the year we played them, to Sunrise Mountain. Great offenses. And I kept notes on all that stuff because I knew someday, you know, I was going to get my opportunity, and I wanted to be a head coach. So I started building all that stuff and just studying and keeping my knowledge and knowing of what I wanted to do. So I'm the offensive coordinator. I brought all the staff from Foothills that was left over from us, and they're all here with me now over here at Palo Verde. And we had defensive coaches that I knew the system that I've been coaching over there forever. And so we just implemented a lot of that same stuff with some tweaks here and there. So Quincy Hudson, who was our defensive backs coach over there forever, he's our defensive coordinator. And, you know, and I help out and give input and stuff like that. And Mike Wilhite has a huge input on what we do on defense and special teams, and that's kind of how we do it.
So obviously a mentor of yours would be Jeff Skirren. What have you gained from him that you're now teaching kids as a head coach? What have you got from him?
You know, and it's not football related, but it's just, you know, how to prioritize your time, you know, and make your priorities count, and make sure you know what's important to you. You know, and if it's not important to you, get it out of your life and move forward. And make sure you prioritize it, and help teach these kids how to prioritize it, and in some cases help them understand what their goals are, and then what should be important to them at that time, you know, to reach those goals. And that's one of the biggest things I've learned from him. And it's not even, like I said, it's not even football on the field related.
I'm trying to remember back. Were you on the staff that played Cactus at U of A Stadium?
Yeah.
And that what impressed me there, and let's talk a little about the difference between Tucson and Phoenix. I went and counted the Cactus players, and I think it was like 80 that game. You guys lost, but it was a hard-fought game. And you guys had the typical 35 players. It's just a totally different atmosphere. between the two cities. And we talked about this earlier. We're just grateful that you're helping revive the inner city scene for Tucson. Do you feel that at all, or are you just concentrating on the football, or do you know about the community aspect of it?
Absolutely. Like I said, is when I was in junior high, I went to Fickett. I walked by Palo Verde every day on my way home to apartments on golf links, and I know about the neighborhood. I grew up in that area, and you know, there were some other jobs that had opened up this year, and I talked to a couple of my coaches, definitely Mike Wilhite and Quincy Hudson, and I knew what we wanted to do together, and we knew at Palo Verde the impact we could make in the students, in the community, and the surrounding neighborhoods, and that's one of the main reasons why I chose to try to get that job. And I also had a relationship with Kevin Amadon, who's the assistant principal there. We coached together at Santa Rita, so it was easy. I reached out to him, and we spoke about it. And you know, the most important thing for me aren't the X's and O's. Excuse me. It's the impact that we make on their lives, you know, and that's why I do it. Football is just a vehicle that we use to get our message out. Now, I tell everyone I'm incredibly passionate about football, and I want to win, and I'm passionate about that. But I am absolutely in love with mentorship and making a difference, because that's what happened to me in my life. I had a coach on Coach Stern's staff. His name is Joe Abney. He passed last year. Huge impact on my life. And I think that's, not I think, but I know that that's part of the reason why I got into coaching in the first place. Now, those were my male role models at the time, you know, and those guys made such a huge difference in my life, and it just so happened, and I'm not sure, it was never a plan, it just kind of happened that way, and I am absolutely in love with making a difference. You know, and whatever, from these kids to the kids I coach at Santa Rita. I have 2 kids on my staff that I coached at Santa Rita. They were offensive linemen there, and I've stayed friends with them since, and we keep in contact. They're on our staff. They help out. I have a returning player, or not a returning player, but a player that played at Foothills for us, Keon Smith, who's on our staff. He graduated just last May, and to me, it's about the relationships. I tell the kids all the time, everything you do in life is about the relationships you build, and how you build those relationships is with integrity and character.
One thing, when we were over at South Point, I had a chance to talk to players. It's really true. When I played basketball in high school in the 1800s, I'm 55, can do the math. My best friend is the forward, the guy I had to pass the ball to. These friendships, I don't know if the kids these days understand that, but they're going to grow up with these guys. They'll be us up here talking. But without giving stuff away with Rincon, how do you see that, their team and your team, and again, I don't want you to give anything up, but what's the game plan?
Well, I mean, the game plan, I mean, at its simplest form is to do the best job we can to make it a competitive game and continue to get better. I mean, we have things that we'd like to do, and I'm sure they have things that they'd like to do. I mean, they look like a much improved team over last year on tape, that's for sure. I studied a lot of their film from last year and in the off season, because I knew we'd be playing them. And then from last year to this year, they look like a much improved team. So, you know, we have our hands full, you know, and we're still a new team and a new staff together. I know we're going on game 5, and that might sound weird, but we're still learning each other to some extent. And, you know, and like I said earlier, we're just trying to get better every week. We want to get better every week. You know, our goal, obviously, I'd feel remiss if I said our goal wasn't to win. You know, our goal is to win the state championship, and that's the way we started the season off. And that's no slight to any of our competitors. I believe in my heart, if that's not our goal every year, then I don't know what we're competing for. Because I'm a competitor, and I want to win, and so are these kids. You know, and they've committed to that. So, I mean, in short, that's our goal, and it's like I said, it's no slight to Rincon or anybody else on our schedule.
One last thing from me, like I was telling Troy and Andy up here, week 5, the winner of this game is going to have a winning record. Rincon Palo Verde, and midway through the season, a winning record. Nobody probably would have predicted that, and it's so great to see. Like I was telling the guys, that it excites me as much or more to see a 3-2 Palo Verde team than a 6-0 team that's expected to win every week. Because the way you're building a program, you're building a belief system. It's going to get the community involved. It's going to get some more kids wanting to play football at Palo Verde. Mike Strack's doing a good job at Rincon. He's going to want more people to play at Rincon. There's some other neighborhood schools that hopefully will get it together. But for Palo Verde to be potentially 3-2 after week 5 is great to see. And it being the first year and the new staff, it's going to only get better. So I'm not sure what the question is, but that's my feeling. But I guess I could ask, how important is it to have this kind of success this early when you're in your first year? Did you anticipate possibly being over 500 midway through the season?
Well, honestly, I put a lot of pressure on myself, and we're 2-2. At this point in the season, if you would ask me at the beginning of the year, at week 4, where would you think you'd be sitting? I probably would have said 3-1, or 4-0. And that's just me, and that's the pressure I put on myself because I'm a competitor, and I compete at everything. When I sit down and play rummy with my mom on Sunday nights, I'm sorry, Mom, but she loses. Right? I'm a competitor, Yeah, well, she's in the back there smiling at me right now. So, it's great. We are where we are. I would like to have a better record at this point, but your record is who you are. You know that saying. And hopefully we come out of tomorrow night and we're over 500 midway through the season. It would be a great accomplishment. We're taking our season in basically quarter chunks, and we have goals for each, 3 to 4 games, and we're just trying to accomplish those goals little by little.
Since they're here, can you quickly just introduce we don't need them to come up, but just mention your parents by name and your family by name.
My wife is here, Heidi Wells. My daughters, Seaton Wells and Senedy Wells. My mom, Linda Martin, in the back, and my stepdad, Rick Martin, in the back. My family here. All the team is here. Most of our coaching staff is here. And I appreciate all you guys and their support. Without my wife is golden, and without her and the support of my kids, this just wouldn't be possible. And that's one thing is I talk about them as much as I possibly can, but they don't get the recognition that they deserve. They just don't. I like to joke and say during the football season, my wife's a single mother, and all our kids are teenagers, and my son's in his mid-20s, and they're at the point now where they call Dad when they need money, and that's really about it. But without their support, I couldn't do what I do.
I understand that all too well. So for All Sports Tucson, or Wings Over Bottom, I'm Andy Morales, my brother Javier Morales. Palo Verde head coach Mike Wells. Good luck against Rincon Friday night and the rest of the season. You're in the 4A Gila. And that all starts next week.
Yep.
The week after.
The week after.
Okay. Well, good luck and thank you.